This program was brought to you by Koller Institute of Venture at Tel Aviv University.
I want to start in the 8 minutes that I have by simply setting the scene in terms of what the Koller Institute of Venture, CIV for short, is trying to do. And I'm going to use a direct slide. So you see I'm not lying. It's slide number 4 of the board presentation that we have this afternoon with the president of the university and the dean. Showing you, and it's on purpose, you know, with board presentations, basically you do small fonts, people don't read. That's on purpose, because it's already decided. That's the whole point. So let me just go quickly upon that to set the scene for everybody. So first of all, we are an academic institution in a university, which means we are doing what academics are doing all over the world. We are creating new knowledge, we are disseminating current knowledge, and we are influencing with our knowledge. So every academic institution in the world is doing that. But you have to do it on something. You have to select your domain. And our domain is venture. And what is venture? If you open up the various dictionaries, you'll see that venture is basically creating a new endeavor. It's not necessarily venture capital. It can be public, it could be government, it could be a lifestyle venture. I'm always saying Eli sisters open up a pizzeria, it's also a venture, right? But we are focusing on certain ventures. And these are the ventures that essentially innovates, they stimulate jobs in the wider economy and provides return to investors against the risk involved. So this is a long sentence to say we're looking at the combination of few terms here: job, risk, growth, innovation, and returns. So there's a certain venture that we're looking for. And in my mind, the way I think about it is a new idea, an entrepreneur, a domain, starting up. How do we make that company successful? And on the other hand, the investor that put money in will be able to get the money out. So it's a dual approach. So that's sort of the definition of the domain. In terms of what we need to do and how we need to do it. So about 3 months ago, it looks like a year ago, but it was just 3 months ago, we had the board meeting. So the board gave us a few guidelines. First of all, we're taking a global perspective. We are in Israel, but we are a global organization. We are seeking to become a source of knowledge, source of insight, source of inspiration for the world. So that's the reason if people are coming to me and proposing all kinds of Israeli-initiated stuff, I said, not so interesting. If you could present that in a global way, could be much more interesting. We want to be a hub for other places. We want to allow people to connect with us and for us to share our knowledge. And we want to create an impact on the world. This is not just basic science, coming up with new model, new financial. The best way, you know, we talked about KPIs. What would be a success? If 5 years down the road, there's a new guy, maybe he's sitting right here, coming up with a new venture capital that has a different model, and that model was written in one of our memos. That would be a success. So we have invented a new model for this thing. We have several themes, and I think I'm not going to delve into all of them, but just focus on one of them, which is the theme of what we call the pension fund perspective. At the end of the day, companies need money in order to blossom. That's a fact. Pension funds have a lot of money as a sort of a category of institutional investment. We want to be able to convince them and to show them and to build models, financial models for them, so they will be able to invest in venture capital firms, that they will be able to invest in companies. We need to structure the whole thing in a way that will convince the ecosystem that it makes sense for them. And currently, unfortunately, it doesn't make sense. There's a problem here. That's the challenge. There's a famous Kaufman report, The Enemy is With Us, which is an amazing report. Basically, it tells that the ventures didn't work so well in the last 10, 15 years. We are connected to Tel Aviv University, and we are, and it's an important point, we are a university-wide institution. We are hosted here at the Faculty of Management, but we sort of draw the energy from the entire university. I think it's an important point. Now, we have translated the above internally within our team to few keywords that we use. And I want to sort of reiterate that as we invite Udi to talk. So we have a fascinating logo. I think it's quite exciting, this thing. In the logo, built into the logo, we have empty space. We called it the third triangle. And the idea behind this is that we, as an essence, as a core competence, invite partners to join us. They can be dissemination partners, they can be research partners, they can be individuals, they can be venture capital funds, they can be anything. And we plan to work with others in order to accomplish the goals that we have here. So that's, I think, is a wonderful idea expressed, built into our logo. So that's the idea of the third triangle. Key terms for what we do: global, hub, and impact. So is this project or is this article or is this thing global? Yes, good. Can we share it with other people? Is it shareable? Yes, good. Does it create impact? Yes, good. So that's how we think about things. We are naturally very much digital in nature, and that's kind of clear. We have actually started to conduct a massive work managed by Zoe for various audits. We have about a list of about 70 centers in the world that are sort of similar or related to us. We have 150 researchers in the field. We have 75 papers, what we call seminal papers. We are collecting all of this as a base to share with others and to enable us to work. In terms of geography, we're looking on one hand on becoming a global thing, but there's some focus that we need to make. A little bit of Asia, a little bit of Europe, maybe the US. Less Israel, we're repeating that because it's easy for us to think about Israel and what's interesting here, but again, we have to think global. In terms of the domain, there's a specific thing here. We are very much, both myself and Moshe Tzviran, who is the academic head of the Institute, are sort of IT people and digital people, and we have to essentially take a wider perspective to it. Last but not least, in terms of the allocation of energy, if you go back to this create, disseminate, and influence, we're thinking about sort of 10% management of the thing, 20% creating new knowledge, which is basic research. We want to come up with new ideas, new financing models, new leadership models, new process models, etc. A lot of energy, at least in the first year, for dissemination of knowledge, pushing it out, and of course, using it to directly influence our audiences, whether they're governments or venture capital firms or pension funds, etc. So this is our compass, our GPS. This is the way we think about things. And without further ado, I would like to invite Udi, who will give us a unique perspective about things.
This program was brought to you by Koller Institute of Venture at Tel Aviv University.